I'm just on the streets of Philly. This exists. I don't know why or how, but I'm into it. And I decided that this is the place to stop to chat and talk to the camera and say things about the show that I just saw. So I saw my first show of the day. It was called Labyrinth of the Other. It is a Cannonball Presents show. I was at the Icebox, which was a nice 45-minute walk from where I parked my van. And it is a 45-minute walk back to my next show. But it's a gorgeous day and I am enjoying the walking. So I'm gonna enjoy a nice stroll back. This was a show, a one-person show slated as immersive interactive. Sorry, slated as immersive. They don't say interactive. Slated as immersive. I would say that it qualifies as immersive. So there was seating on the stage, which, you know, sometimes I qualify as intimate instead of immersive, but we were part of the story and we were brought in and we were directly addressed, and our presence mattered, which is what I tend to think as like the difference between being immersed in the story versus being like close or intimate with a proscenium show. So yeah, we were immersed in the story. It was an opportunity to meet Daedalus, the Minotaur, and Ariadne, which were also the three aspects of the performer's personality too. So the performer themselves has this idea of like three distinct personalities, and kind of equated them back and forth with the idea of Daedalus and the Minotaur and Ariadne. And so that was cool. It was an interesting piece. There was a lot of singing, there was some meditation, there was group movement that I really enjoyed. And it was a lot about kind of taking what you wanted and bringing energy into the room, which was kind of fun. And also, there was a beautiful lighting effect on the ceiling that looked like waves, and I could have watched that all day. That could have been the whole show and I would have been very happy. But I definitely think it qualifies as immersive. I am very, very glad I went. And now I'm excited to head to other shows. I know. Accurately explain what's happening here. I've seen my last two shows of the evening. So the first one was called Krampus Gets Cramped, and I thought it was going to be about Krampus, the Christmas monster, and it was a little bit, but it was mostly a history of the Cramps, as in the punk band. So I learned a lot about the Cramps, and it was about Krampus like trying to punish them but failing. So I learned their whole history, which was interesting for me because I don't know anything about them, but it was like more of a biopic than I had been expecting. It was a shadow puppet show, but using the crank. There's a specific word for it, but now I can't think of it. But basically, like, you know, there's a sheet of paper that's rolled on this side and then it moves and gets rolled on that side. And so there's a light behind it to show the shapes that are on the sheet, and then he drops little shadow puppets in. The guy who did it is so cool. I met him last Monday at the meetup, and so meeting him and then getting to see his show was really fun, and I learned a lot about the Cramps, and they are kind of fascinating. I'm gonna have to look them up later. So that was fun, and I do love a shadow puppet show. And then I went to an immersive show called The White Room, and this was interactive art installation, music. I don't know necessarily, but it was definitely immersive. It was definitely interactive. Whether it was theater is kind of loose, but these don't claim to be immersive theater, they just claim to be immersive, and it definitely qualifies for that. And it was really cool. So there were these 4 cloth booths set up. 2 of them just had a white light showing the shadow of what was inside, and 2 of them had a projection of video projected on the front. And there were also around the room a series of buttons and knobs, and by pushing the buttons you could change what video was playing, or put a black hole in the center of the video, or put words on the video, and that allowed you to, like, the black hole allowed you to look inside and see a musician playing there. And then the knobs, we figured out through collaboration and talking to each other, controlled the musicians, like made them louder or quieter, did that sort of thing. And when the show finished, the guy who created it said he's done 5 shows and this is the closest anyone has ever gotten to figuring it out. And we were so close because I noticed that in the musician's booth, there were these lights that were lighting up. And I was like, oh, we need to get them to all light up or not light up. But it turns out one of the knobs went the opposite direction from all of the other knobs. So we like turned all of the knobs off and then all of the knobs on. And neither of those things were successful because we didn't figure out which knob went the other way before the show ended. But it was super freaking fun. And I met some really great people who are like fun to collaborate with in that way and are clearly like have the kind of energy to solve puzzles. And I invited them all to the waiting room because I think they'll like it. So I've had a fantastic Sunday at Philly Fringe, and I will see you tomorrow.